Hey, okay. Hi everyone. Yeah, just checking if the stream is working like every week. And yeah, today we're gonna have another 10 interesting poems. It's gonna be uh a bunch of long ones actually, because we moved on to the new genre, right? It's gonna be these wait, why don't I just share the screen first? Okay. So these are called 5 character ancient verse. It's pretty long. I hope we can get through 10 of them this week. Yeah. And sorry for being a bit late. I kind of couldn't wake up today. Yeah. So this first one, right? Uh, if you remember, we were reading, this is actually the fourth one in this group, and we were reading the first three last week. So maybe just a quick refresher because I also forgot what it was about. So, uh, okay, just maybe quickly look through the three from last week. Um, a lonely swan from the sea flies, to alight on puddles it does not deign. Nesting in the poplar of pearls, it spies and questions green birds twain. Don't you fear the threat of slings perched on the top of branches so high? Nice clothes invite pointing fingers. High climbers God's good will defy. Bird hunters will crave me in vain, for I roam the limitless sky. All right, so okay, as I read this now, I remember the context is that this guy, Zhang Jiuling, he kind of got demoted, right? So I think he was trying to do the right thing, and then it didn't work out. The politics, like office, well, it's not really office politics because he's actually in politics, right? So, but yeah, his court politics, and he kind of got demoted. And so these 4 poems, I think, is him trying to like console himself. So this first one is like uh yeah, I guess he is supposed to be like the lonely swan, right? If you remember the gu hong. And it's like, yeah, they're just, if you're too outstanding, people will be, you'll stand out and people will be jealous. But yeah. Eh, wait. But if the swan is asking the green birds. No, I guess he's saying don't be outstanding, right? Right, right. So he is the swan because the bird hunters will crave him in vain and roam the limitless sky. Okay, I don't want to talk about this too much because we did it last week, but just like to see how it connects to this week's poem. And this one. Yeah, and I'll just read the English for this one quickly. Tender orchid leaves in spring and cinnamon blossoms bright in autumn are as self-contained as life is, which conforms them to the seasons. Yet why will you think that the forest hermit, allured by sweet winds and contented with beauty, would no more ask to be transplanted than would any other natural flower? So as we talked about last week, this is a very like Taoist idea, right? It's like, um, if a flower is very pretty, and then but all it attracts is that it asks is like it gets plucked and then it's bad for the flower itself, right? So it's almost like is the usefulness of being useless. That's a very like Taoist idea. And that this sort of, oh, he's trying to console himself, right? He's like, well, clearly I'm not being valued, but that's good for me. So that's the sort of idea here. And it's really what runs through all 4 poems are. And here, right? The hermit in his lone abode nurses his thoughts cleansed of care. Them he projects to the wild goose, for it to his distant sovereign to bear, who will be moved by the sincerity of my vain day and night prayer. What comfort is for my loyalty? What flyers and sinkers can compare? Hmm. Okay, what's going on here? I kind of forgot. All right. Okay. So the wild goose, this is the wild goose in the first poem, right? So he is a hermit in a lone abode, and he is projecting them onto the wild goose. So he's like very literally telling you what's going on. And so I guess it's almost like in this poem, it's almost like he's like, okay, at first he was trying to console himself, but here it doesn't seem like it's working. He says, what comfort is for my loyalty? And what flyers and sinkers can compare? So I think at least for me, I think he's like, I'm trying to console myself, but it's not really working. I still hate it. I want to go back. Yeah, that's sort of my vibe. Maybe the last poem will change the reading. So let's read this properly now. So 感日其事 so it's the fourth in this 感日 series. I don't know why they translate the title as Orchid and Orange 2. Right. So 江南有丹菊，京东有绿林，起衣避气暖，自有岁寒心。可以见奈何左重生，运命为所欲，循环不可循。徒言树桃李，此木其无因。Here, south of the Yangtze, grows a red orange tree. All winter long, its leaves are green, not because of its warmer soil, but because its nature is used to the cold. Though it might serve your honorable guests, you leave it here, far below mountain and river. Circumstance governs destiny. Cause and effect are an infinite cycle. You plant your peach trees and your plums. You forget the shade from this other tree. Huh. Okay. So south of the Yangtze, I think this is supposed to be kind of distant from the center of political activity because it's usually clustered in the north, I believe, at least during this time. And then I guess it's weird to say there's a red orange tree, but it's like it's a tangerine, right? So it's a red tangerine tree. And yeah, okay, so it all winter long its leaves are green. I believe this is actually a allusion to Confucius because there's this famous line which I've mentioned before where it's like only when the winter comes do you know that certain trees can last through it, something like that, right? So the idea is that is a metaphor for when times are tough, that's when you know who the good people are, who are the reliable and strong people. And I think he's sort of using I imagine there are actual orange trees in Jiangnan lah, south of the Yangtze, where they're like this. And I feel like he is making the illusion while also making it like is a concrete reference. So I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, but he gives the reason, right? It's not because of a warmer soil or the warmer climate, literally like 地气 is like climate, the air, but because its nature is used to the cold. Yeah, kind of. The language here is a bit in Chinese is a bit more like it has the heart of enduring the cold, I believe, which I mean it's kind of like nature, but also kind of different, right? You get like it has the meaning, but I think different connotations are. Yeah. And then 可以见加客. So yeah, you can serve your honorable guests. Even though you can do that, you leave it here, far below mountain and river. And at this point, it should be pretty obvious, right? He's talking about himself. Like he is this tangerine tree that is like the ren cai, right? He's the one who yeah, he can stay green throughout the winter and can serve, is good for serving, right? And so but he's sort of left behind and neglected. Next is kind of more philosophical. It's like circumstance governs destiny, cause and effect are an infinite cycle. It's kind of okay. Kind of different. It's Chinese kind of different, I guess. 运命, I guess it's yeah. His destiny is only what you encounter. You only encounter destiny. So yeah, actually, I think it's fine because circumstance governs destiny. Yeah, and then 循环 it is kind of like a cycle, right? 不可循, so you cannot search for a cycle. Maybe I'm missing something in the Chinese, but as in there is the idea of a cycle, and you can't. Maybe it's you can't find the hit of the cycle where it starts because it's cyclical. I can't see where it's cause and effect, though. But anyway, I think even in the Chinese, there is sort of this break into the more philosophical, like rumination for this last few lines, yeah. And then next, 图言属它. So you plant your peach trees and your plums. You forget the shade from this other tree. So there's these two lines of philosophical, and then like there's this last two lines where it's back to the topic again, I suppose, where he's like, yeah, you have all these other trees, but you forget about me, right? You're forgetting about me. And actually, yeah, I guess the meaning is pretty plain. Well, I mean, well, no, right? If you just read the poem, it's just about a tree. But I mean, from the context of the other poem, I think it's pretty clear. Is he's kind of just lamenting that he's not being appreciated, and he thinks he's a great talent, and it's sort of governed by this central metaphor of I suppose this tangerine tree in Jiangnan, in south of the. Okay, I mean now the province is called Jiangnan, right? But it literally means like south of the river, which is the Yangtze River. So yeah, so this uh red tangerine tree in the Jiangnan. Yeah, I think yeah. For longer poems, it seems like the meaning does become a bit more obvious as opposed to the really short ones, where it's more cryptic. I think of this length is kind of nice because then it's almost like the length of an English poem, like the normal like Chinese poem is so short, and then so now it's reaching the length of like a normal short English poem, and I think that's sort of why the English translation can be more poetic, right? Or it feels like something that's easier to that we're more used to seeing. So I think that's one interesting thing about this type of poem. But yeah, it also feels like the meaning is so obvious. I'm not sure what to talk about. I mean, there is a layer to get through, but once you're past that layer, it seems pretty obvious. I don't know. Let's see what the if I'm missing anything from illusions and stuff. So the one we read is this one, number 7. So there's 3 illusions. Let's see if I'm missing anything. Okay, so this 岁寒心, the one where I said it's the heart of weathering the cold. They do say, yeah, it's just the ability, the 特性, the personality, the trait of like being able to withstand the cold, which I mean, yeah, it's kind of obvious in hindsight. The last 2 notes are not super useful. I think they are missing Confucius Illusion here. Maybe let me just find it. So let me find the C text, right? If we go to, what is it? Oh, Yao. Oh, I can't remember how you write it. Ah, yeah, number 6. Eh? Oh, that's not right. It should be in the Analects, I think. Yeah, this is the one. So 子曰岁寒，然后知松柏之后凋也. Yeah, they're using a different version of the character. That's why it didn't come up the first time I searched. But it says, yeah, the master said, when the year becomes cold, then we know how the pine and the cypress are the last to lose their leaves. So yeah, this is always often interpreted as meaning, yeah, just only when times get tough, then you know, who are the good ones, I guess. Who are the good people? Yeah. So I think having the illusion does make it a lot better though. So that's how I choose to read it at least. Yeah. And then if we move on, I wonder if there's any poem. Okay, famous comments. It's really not useful. This someone says by talking about the small things, he's actually talking about very profound ideas, I guess. Very profound, yeah, meaning, principles. And the ancients are usually like this. Okay, that's not helpful. But I guess he is pointing out that yeah, he's talking about the tree, but he's actually talking about life, right? At least his life. So yeah, I think that's kind of it for this poem. I think I really like this one. I think it's pretty smart the way the comparison to the tree. But I still think I'm still sort of wondering what these two lines are doing. Where I don't know, maybe it's the English translation. It's kind of skewing me to a certain interpretation. So maybe I'll just read it again before moving on. So, actually, is there a simple Chinese translation for this? I guess not. 白话诗文. Oh, actually, yeah. Okay, so this interpretation is that the encounters of fate are various, very diverse, and the cycle of cause and effect is profound, mysterious, and hard to find. Okay, so the 循环 here seems to be commonly interpreted as meaning the cycle of cause and effect. So I guess the English here, they read it as an infinite cycle because it literally says it cannot be found. So they're saying the beginning cannot be found because it's an infinite cycle. But I guess here it's more like you can't even find the cycle itself. That's the other interpretation, where you can't predict what's gonna happen. Yeah. Which I guess he didn't predict it, right? Because he didn't predict that he would be demoted. Yeah. And then circumstance governs destiny. What they think it means, they're very, how to say, the encounters of fate are various. So fate only what is met. So that's literally right. Fate only what is met. So I guess in both lines it's just saying you don't know what's gonna happen now, right? Which I think then in that sense it kind of still places it within it's not as like disjuncted as it seems, because first the part before is like, well, the tree is great, but you leave it here far below mountain and river, and then I as the tree, well, I can't control that, right? I can't control that you forget about the tree, you forget about me. So I think in that sense it's kind of more it's kind of a more organic two lines when you read it like that. Yeah, like it's just, I guess it's just this line, the translation of like cause and effect are an infinite cycle is just very, it just seems a bit different from what's been going on the rest of the poem. So I think, yeah, I think it's better to translate it as you cannot get to the bottom of cause and effect. Yeah, or you cannot you cannot understand cause and effect. Yeah. So in that case, that's sort of my final mystery for this poem. I think I'm ready to move on. Well, I guess I actually talked about this for half an hour, so I thought this was only, somehow I thought I was going pretty fast, but yeah. Okay, that's not too bad. In that case, maybe I can just move to the next one, which is here by the super famous guy Li Bai. It's a really long title. Sorry. 下终南山过无山人宿置酒 down Zhongnan Mountain to the kind pillow and bowl of Hu Si. Okay. Well, let's give it a try. It's Mu, right? 木从碧山下，山月随人归。却顾所来经，苍苍横翠微。香携吉田家，同志开荆飞。绿竹入幽津，青罗服行衣。欢颜得所憩，美酒聊共挥。长歌颂，长歌吟松风，曲径和心兮。我醉君复乐，陶然共忘机。I think these last two lines are famous. Yeah. But okay. Let's see. Down the blue mountain in the evening, moonlight was my homeward escort. Looking back, I saw my path lie in levels of deep shadow. I was passing the farmhouse of a friend when his children called from a gate of thorn and led me twining through jade bamboos, where green vines caught and held my clothes, and I was glad of a chance to rest, and glad of a chance to drink with my friend. We sang to the tune of the wind in the pines, and we finished our songs as the stars went down. When I, being drunk, and my friend more than happy, between us we forgot the world. Wow, that's so nice. Wow. I'm not sure if there's there's like a hidden meaning here. It's just a nice story, but let's go through it line by line. So, okay, down the blue mountain in the evening, this Bishan. In Singapore, we also have this place called Bishan. So literally the same characters. But yeah, so the blue mountain. And yeah, the moonlight, yeah, was my homeward escort. That's a good translation. Looking back, I saw my path, yeah. Lie in levels of deep shadow, okay. I was passing the farmhouse of a friend when his children called from a gate of thorn and led me twining through jade bamboos where green vines caught and held my clothes. I was glad of a chance to rest and glad of a chance to drink to my friend. 得俗气，长乐 sing the tune of the winds in the pines, and finish our songs as the stars went down. When I, being drunk, and my friend more than happy, between us we forgot the world. Oh, I don't know. It's just a good poem. There's nothing to say. It's just good. Huh. Yeah, I mean it's just a really nice story, right? Okay, I need to stop saying that. Why don't I'm just saying like, oh, I like it, but they're not value adding. Why don't we see what yeah, if there's any analysis from the other people. So they say first 4 lines is meeting down as you go down the mountain, middle 4 lines is going to the guy's house, and the last 6 lines is them drinking, making merry, and his how he feels. Yeah. Actually, when you put it like that, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of nice, right? Like, imagine like you're going home and then what's the equivalent of this? Like you're coming from a mountain. Yeah, like let's say you're going home from somewhere, right? Like I guess from some tourist site, because I'm sure he's just like having fun in the mountain. So there's going home and then it's kind of dark. I guess kind of scary. I don't know. Yeah, but well, maybe not, because if moonlight is the homeward escort, right? That has the sense of being safe, and I mean here literally it's like the mountain moon follows the person to return. So I'm not sure if this is like if it's like a positive presence or like a ominous presence. Yeah. I guess if you read it more ominously, then maybe then it gives a different feeling, right? So it's like, oh, something is watching me, and then that's why he sort of turns back, right? He turns back and look at his path. So that's an interesting reading. But yeah, anyway, so and then you should start going home, and it's just you're alone, and the moon is shining, and actually another tangent is like it's almost like in horror movies you always have like the full moon, right? So maybe that also gives it like a ominous vibe. Yeah. But I mean in Chinese culture, full moon is nice. So it's like a positive thing. So maybe not. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you look back, you see there's only this path, and then kids start to call you. Oh, that's really nice. And the kids, your friends' kids come and then lead you through this uh almost like a not like an obstacle course, but you have to go through some things, right? And then I guess yeah, it's like your friend calling you into his apartment, and you just have a drink, maybe on the balcony since it's like open air. This It is quite an unusual experience, right? It's yeah, it's would you say there's a sense of chance? Like where do the kids come from? Well, no, but if all it has to be a time break between the first 4 lines and the next 4, right? Because if not, then it doesn't make sense that he feels alone when he's right next to the house. So there has to be some progression of time, I suppose. Yeah. Um. Okay. Okay. So I think I just threw out other interpretations, but then I landed back on the original, which that it is a nice poem. Okay, so apparently the Zhongnanshan, where the mountain he was descending from, is a pretty famous mountain with a lot of a lot of, I guess, educated people, they like to live in the mountain. I guess that makes sense, and that's why he's he can meet his friend there. So I guess it's like is if he's walking through like a university and then his friend calls him into his dorm, it's more of that kind of vibe. So yeah, okay, that's interesting. Mm, ah, okay. So when it said he sang to the tune of the wind in the pines, there is also a actual tune which is the wind in the pines. So it's sort of a double meaning here. It's like maybe it's literally singing to the pines, but also singing that specific tune. So that's pretty interesting. Oh. I guess then it sort of takes on like at first it's like man and nature, but there's this also this sense of like nature and culture, I suppose, where yeah, it's not just any mountain, it's like a mountain of like full of smart people. And then you're not just singing like any drinking song, it's like a classy song from the past. Yeah. I know like a sea shanty or okay, not a sea shanty, like a I don't know, man, like you're singing opera while drinking or something. So I guess it's depicting like kind of a very idyllic life of a intellectual. Hmm. Maybe I'm reading too much, but yeah, because intellectualism is also quite associated with like being a hermit in the woods. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing in Chinese culture. Yeah. Okay. Oh, this is not. Actually, let me close the earlier tabs. So we have more here. Okay, so uh, okay. Oh, apparently this is a very big. Nah, that's not right. Sorry, I misread that. So, okay, let's look at famous critics. What do they say? Um, so this person thinks it's very cinematic. Like when you read it, it's very like oh, sorry, there's a comment here from Joe. Is forgot the world a good translation of 忘记? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what the 记 is doing here actually. Because this is what it means, right? Uh let's see. G12. Oh, okay, so forget. Oh, this is a Taoist terminology. It means to forget like worldly machinations, I guess. Yeah, just worldly like 盘算, all these yeah, just be like shrewd calculations. Yeah. Okay, so which also seems to fit in the like this whole like Taoist intellectual vibe, right? It's like I'm in the mountain with all these like smart guys, and then we're just not talking about uh worldly affairs, just a sort of very pure sort of conversation. So it's like a philosophy department lah, basically. Philosophy department in the woods. in the mountains. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Oh, it's very the scene is sort of pops out. It's very vivid, but it's also and it's rough to because you can't write like him. It's very hard to write to his level, I guess. And this next one is that he says that he first writes about the scene and then write about how he feels. I mean, which is typical structure of Chinese poetry, right? So, but I guess it's still good to make it explicit. And I was just saying it's really good, lah. So this is really good. Uh, hmm. Especially the first 4 lines, they think. Yeah. Yeah, I guess the first 4 lines do really set up well the feeling of solitude and being in nature. Yeah. But, people always emphasize like the first, like a certain part, but then you always need to look at the other parts that make it complete, right? Like I think maybe this loneliness has to be the poem is only completed by the him meeting people, him hanging out with his friend afterwards. Like if it's just the loneliness, I think it'll be a different poem. I don't know if it's the worst poem, but definitely a different poem. Yeah. Okay, I think that was pretty much it. I don't think there's much else for me to say, except Li Bai is a genius. Okay, so maybe we'll move on to the next one. Okay, this is 月下独酌 sounds famous also. 花间一壶酒，独酌无相亲，举杯邀明月，对影成3人。月极不解饮，影徒随我身。暂伴月将影，行乐须及春。我歌月徘徊，我舞影零乱。醒时同交欢，醉后各分散。永结无情游，相期邈云汉。From a pot of wine among the flowers, I drank alone. There was no one with me, till, raising my cup, I asked the bright moon to bring me my shadow and make us three. Alas, the moon was unable to drink, and my shadow tagged me vacantly. But still, for a while, I had these friends to cheer me through the end of spring. I sang, the moon encouraged me. I danced, my shadow tumbled after. As long as I knew, we were boon companions. And then I was drunk, and we lost each other. Shall goodwill ever be secure? I watched the long road of the river of stars. So I think the river of stars should be the Milky Way, like in the sky lah. Yeah. Wow, such a good poem. Wow, what a genius. Huh. Interesting. So, I mean, sorry, let me just see if you have any comments here. Oh, sorry, missed some of your comments. Let me read them out now. So does the word blue have an association with sadness in Chinese literature? I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, in English, definitely it is, right? But I don't recall an association with that. I mean, Chinese people have very different associations, right? It's like red, red is like good, it's like auspicious. So I don't think there are any specific associations with blue. Yeah. So good question though. That's a good point. And then And Pauline says, I'm totally failing to learn language, but I'm learning culture. Yeah, I don't think you should learn Chinese with this. It's way too hard. But yeah, you watch my other videos for language learning. All right. So right, back to this one. I mean, isn't this like brilliant? Wow. And it's very famous. Now that I read it, I remember this very famous poem. Yeah. It's like, I mean, he's by on his own, but he's like, okay, there's the moon and there's my shadow, and then like there's three of us and we're just hanging out. It's like, isn't this genius? Huh. I guess if I can go on a slight tangent, right? I had this conversation 2 days ago about like loneliness. And I think there's this book, can't remember what it's called, but essentially it argues that like different cultures um really understand loneliness in different ways. And I think this is very interesting, right? Because here he is on his own and he doesn't feel lonely at all, right? I mean, he's like, okay, there's the moon, there's my shadow. It's like a whole party here. So, and there's definitely I mean, generally you can say like East Asian culture is more introverted, right? It's more uh yeah, definitely more introverted. And so, and there's this whole tradition of like intellectuals sort of just moving into a mountain and being like sort of a recluse. So yeah, I think I'm sort of curious how Westerners would read this. Like, does this just seem like pathetic? Like, oh, I have no friends. But I mean, to me, it feels kind of inspiring in a way. It's like, you're always is the distinction between being alone and being lonely, right? And here, in some sense, he is alone. I mean, he is alone by a normal sense, but internally, it feels like he is not lonely at all. Yeah. So I think really interesting. Uh, really interesting poem here. Yeah, I don't remember the book, but about the history of loneliness. But yeah, really interesting stuff. And yeah, I mean, because if you look at this poem, I mean, if you take out all the nice stuff, he's basically just like getting smashed on his own, right? Like he's just drinking on his own and like, you know, doing like some drunk dancing and singing. But you know, nothing wrong with that. And yeah. Well, I guess there is something interesting here though, which is like when it says, and then I was drunk and we lost each other. So 最后各分散. So after uh we were drunk. Now this is weird, right? This 醒时, there's actually it's not in the translation, but like 醒时同交欢. So when I was sober, I guess, then we were like making merry. But after we were drunk, then we separated. So that's kind of weird because I mean the shadow is still there and the the moon is still there, right? And if anything, I would think that like it's by being drunk that it's only when you're drunk that you would think the moon and the shadow different people. It's kind of yeah. So it's interesting to me this. And then next line, right? Should goodwill ever be secure? Not sure where this actually comes from. It's like a eternal bond. Yeah, eternal bond. It's like no feelings, travel, roam. Yeah. Maybe the translator was reading it as like, oh, I thought this was eternal bond between the three of us, but then you left sort of heartlessly. Quite strange, but okay. Yeah. 想起 Actually, why didn't I look at the another translation? Oh, this is actually one of several. Oh wow, there's actually like 4 poems in the series, but yeah. Let's look at this. 11, 12, and 13. So it says, the last line is, let's meet again in the sky. Whoa, oh wow. So this last line is, let's meet again in the sky. Right, that's what I thought, right? 相期 is like the date of our meeting is in the sky, I guess, in the Milky Way. That's pretty. Okay, so this is a modern Chinese, the Mandarin translation. So it means I wish we could wholeheartedly, I guess, party or like roam forever and meet again in the vast sky river, which is like the Milky Way, right? The stars in the Milky, just the Milky Way that you can see in the sky. So that's interesting, right? That's interesting because then first he sort of at first he's making these like unreal things. I mean, the moon is real, but it's not really in our world, right? So like the moon and then the shadow, he's sort of bringing it into our world, but at the end he is sort of bringing himself into the world of the moon. So I guess you can even read this as a kind of like a transformative experience then, right? So first is like, I mean, at first, if you just read this, it looks really sad, right? It's like, from a pot of wine among the flowers, I drank alone. There was no one with me, right? So at first, it's like that. But it's like yeah, it's just like a sad guy on his own. And then it sort of transforms into like, it's like, oh, I will be a celestial being almost. Yeah. So it seems like there is a sort of like internal journey going on within this poem. Yeah. Mm, interesting. Well, I feel like there's a lot going on here that I'm missing. Okay. Danica says he bonded with nature to feel less lonely, but lost it because he lost self-control. Yeah, I wonder. Because you're talking about after he got drunk and then they all separated, right? Yeah, I wonder why. Hmm. Uh-huh. Well, I guess it could also just be he passed out after he was drunk. Because it seems like the dancing and the singing, he was pretty drunk, right? So maybe it was like when he was, so the xing can be like to be awake or to be sober, right? So maybe instead of being like sober and drunk, it can be like awake and like passed out drunk. So I guess if he's passed out, then or if he's asleep, then maybe like I mean, he if he's asleep, he's not awake. So then yeah, the kind of be hanging out with his bros, his pals, like the shadow and the moon. Yeah. So that's one possibility, because I see what you're saying about self-control, but I'm not sure if I see anything else about self-control in this poem. And it, yeah, and it's a mystery, right? Like what's with this transition? Okay, so in the Chinese, it does translate it as sober and drunk. So it's not about awake or asleep. Interesting. Yeah, I wonder why. Okay, I hope it's not. Oh wow, maybe I should move on. If not, I can't finish on time. Okay, you say yes. Okay. Yeah, okay, why don't we look at, wow, I can't believe there's 3 more of these. They're so good. Okay, yeah, but maybe let's move on for now. Famous critics. This for the first one, right? Uh, so apparently the idea of like inviting the moon and the shadow is an influential one for later poems. And most of them I just say is very good lah. Let's see. Hmm. Hmm. I don't think they're making any literary analysis, so But yeah, it is such a good poem. I guess there's this one where it's like you don't even need to put down your drink to find a drinking companion. So yeah. It's interesting the title is Drinking Alone with the Moon. Well, I mean it's drinking alone under the moon, literally. But yeah. You know what? I think let's just move on. But very good poem. I feel like there's a lot more to unpack, but not much time for today. So let's go to this next one. In spring. So 春思燕草如碧丝，what's this? Oh yeah, 秦桑低绿枝，当君怀归日，是妾断肠时。春风不相识，何事入罗帷？Your grasses up north are as blue as jade. Our mulberries here curve green threaded branches. And at last you think of returning home, now when my heart is almost broken. O breeze of the spring, since I dare not know you, why part the silk curtains by my bed? And the title means like spring thought, but it's like spring longing, I suppose. It's almost like he's longing for someone, right? Yeah. I wonder what's going on here. It feels like he's writing from a perspective of a woman. Like, I don't know, am I just reading too much into the silk curtains? But it does seem like, I'm not sure who, it doesn't sound very much like Li Bai's usual voice. Okay. Yeah, I'm right. So it's about the wife of like a soldier who's been sent on an expedition. Yeah. Yeah, that's usually when they talk about these silk curtains and stuff, it's like a signal that it's from a female perspective. So yeah, I'm glad I picked that up. I guess reading this for the last 10 weeks, I learned some things. Okay, so it's like She's thinking about her husband, right? So your grasses up north are as blue as jade, and our mulberries here curve green threaded branches. So sort of is emphasizing the distance between them, the first two lines. And then last, when you think of returning home, now when my heart is almost broken. Oh, so is he back? Right? Is he already back? Oh, breeze of the spring, since I dare not know you. Why part the silk curtains by my bed? Wait, so is the is the wind opening the curtains or the husband? What? Oh yeah. I mean, okay, so there's also explicit said when you said 世切断肠时, that is like there's a feminine self-reference, so that would clue that it was a female speaker. Yeah, sure, I should have picked that up. Yeah. Huh. Okay, so is this the spring wind and not the husband who's parting the curtains? Hmm, not really sure. Why? So it seems like the day when the husband thinks of returning, I don't really get the link between these two lines. Like, how does that link to her heart is almost broken? Is it because when he returns is already, I mean, isn't she sad like every day? So why only when he comes back? You know, what's going on? Uh, I mean, the idea, maybe it's almost like a supernatural connection. It's like the moment you think of coming back, then I feel sad. It's like telepathy or something. But it, I mean, then you should be happy, right? Or, huh, kind of a mystery here to me. And what's with the spring wind? I guess spring is usually like new beginnings, right? So I guess maybe the last part is like, the only thing I want opening the silk curtains is my husband, not like this. I don't care about the spring wind. Or maybe it's even like, oh, maybe she's not, she's like just like sleeping, right? Or she's just chilling and then like the curtains open, then she's like, oh my gosh, maybe it's my husband, but oh, it's just the wind. Okay, very, very contrived reading, I know, but I don't really understand what's going on otherwise. Is there any? Hmm. I mean, it's possible. Okay. So this makes the same point, which is like, if the husband is returning, then shouldn't she be happy? But instead she's sad. So this seems to be go against like normal people's psychology. But the commentary here says that this is actually because her love is so deep that it reverses. I'm not sure how that works, but okay. Hmm. Okay. I don't really like, there's this interpretation here. Huh. Okay, maybe it is intended, but it's like, I don't really like the implication where it's like, the only thing that can, because she's so chaste, so the only thing that can enter my, like, part the curtains by my bed is my husband, and not even the spring wind is allowed to do that. I guess, I don't know, feels a bit iffy by modern sensibilities, but I guess it's like a private space. So she doesn't want, you can read it as it's a private space, and like the only person she wants there is like her husband though, which is fair, right? Yeah. Okay. Uh, I guess one last comment here is it seems to go against common logic or the usual emotional reactions, but the commentary thinks it expresses more complex feelings. I'm clearly there's something complex, but I don't know why. It doesn't explain why she feels like this, right? So I don't find this commentary super helpful. Yeah. Well, anyway, let's see. Um, yeah, just go to some famous critics and maybe we can just move on from this. I don't think I can solve the mystery so soon. Yeah. Yeah, this one's just the difficulty is in the concluding two lines. So it's about the spring wind. And I also don't really understand why she thinks that. Yeah. uh, yeah. Hmm. Okay, so some comments from you. Is the spring wind an ambiguous term? Ah, because in the previous poem, the wind was the name of a song, right? I think here is not very ambiguous. It seems like it is just the spring wind, and then uh and then Danica says she got unused to his presence or can't deal with the change. Doesn't it have to do with what is written at the beginning of the poem? Hmm. Got unused to. Oh, actually that makes sense. It's about the changes. Okay, I think I know, or at least my interpretation, my understanding of what you said is like, okay, so like, oh, he's finally coming back, right? But what if, right, like you said, it's the beginning of the poem, right? Like, what if he has changed so much, just like how the grasses are different, right? What if he's changed so much that things are no longer the same? So in some sense, like even though it's terrible to be apart, it's like the day when you get back together, it's like the moment of reckoning, right? It's like, yeah, like it feels even worse somehow. Okay, now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. Wow, that's a great analysis. Yeah, dang. So it's like imagine it's like in long distance relationships, right? There's this thing where um it's like you're sort of apart for so long, and then you do like your whole Zoom thing, I guess, which is like equivalent of writing letters back in the day. But and then when you finally meet, and then it's kind of scary, right? Like what if this image you build up of that person for so long, what if when you meet them again, they've already changed so much? And sometimes couples break up after they end long distance uh because so much of long distance is almost like your imagination, right? Like it's the person lives in your head, and now you need to face reality. Yeah. It also reminds me of like, Japanese couples, like the men, they work very long hours. And then there are stories of like, when the men finally retire and then they spend more time at home, and then the couple realizes they hate each other and then they get divorced. It's almost, I shouldn't be smiling, laughing, but like it's really sad. But I think maybe that's what's going on here. It's like there is a lot of affection, but she's afraid that yeah, she's afraid that things will no longer be the same. Yeah. Wow, my mind is blown. Wow, thanks, Danica. That is so good. That's such a good reading. Wow. Okay. Then would this connect to the spring wind, I wonder? Uh Actually, uh let me just uh say thanks, because that is genius. Okay, then what about the spring wind? I mean, clearly she knows the spring wind, right? She has seen it before. So maybe this is like the spring wind is like the husband, right? Where there's the fear of like not knowing them, because now the spring has come again, but then it's unfamiliar. And then it's like, so it's like the husband who is unfamiliar. Oh my God. This is genius. Wow. Well, Levi is really he's really good, I mean, no wonder he's like so famous. Okay, wow, I'm just rambling at this point, but I'm just like shook of wow, okay. But yeah, I guess that's all. All the mysteries are solved. Dang. Okay then. All right, maybe let's move on to the next one. Unless you have any more comments here. Okay, say happy to help. All right, yeah, this is wow. Love this poem. Okay, now there's another famous guy, Du Fu. Let's read this. Let me just close the previous ones as well. Okay, so now we're at poem 8. So about halfway through. Let's see if we can get this get through the rest of the poems. So all right, 杜甫望月 a view of 泰山戴宗夫如何？齐鲁青未了，造化钟神秀，阴阳割昏晓。荡胸生层云，绝字入归鸟。会当凌绝顶，一览众山小。So they're saying this is also written as, I think this dai maybe is also written as yue. Let's see. So the last three words is just a note for like a variant of the character. Oh, okay. This yue is also written as this yue. Okay. So, all right, English. What shall I say of the great peak? The ancient dukedoms are everywhere green, inspired and stirred by the breath of creation, with the twin forces balancing day and night. I bare my breast toward opening clouds. I strain my sight after birds flying home. When shall I reach the top and hold all mountains in a single glance? Huh. Okay. The ancient dukedoms are everywhere green. So the twin forces here is like yin and yang. I mean, there's definitely. I mean, this is also unusual, right? Like you can tell, like he's looking at the mountain, yeah, the Taishan, I guess the biggest mountain in China, and then he starts thinking about the all these like cosmological forces. There's like yin and yang, and the I mean, okay, the breath of creation. Yeah, la, it's just like how things are made, right? So, seems like the site of this mountain, this like huge mountain, sort of is like opening his mind to um bigger things. Yeah, opening his mind to bigger things. And he wants to reach the top and hold all mountains in a single glance. But I don't think that's well, I mean he can't see the mountain he's on, but literally it's like, yeah, he can see the multitudes of mountains and how small they are. So what's going on? What's going on? I'm, I'm a bit perplexed. Yeah. Hmm. Okay, that's an interesting point, which is even though this whole thing, I mean, the title is the view of Taishan, and this whole thing is about how he feels when seeing it, but he does not actually use the character Wang, which is to see. He doesn't actually use the character inside. So it's sort of, I suppose it gives you the first person experience of seeing the mountain. That's one point they made. I guess which makes sense. So it's sort of trying to is replicating the internal life, the internal philosophy, you say like the phenomenology, right? Just how it feels to see the mountain. So he's like, okay, right. So he sees the mountain, then he see like, wow, what can I say? Ah, it's like, what can I say? So it's like, wow, it's like the past, the ancient dukedoms are everywhere green. Is it like the past is coming to life? Like, is this like this mountain is transcending time? Okay, I didn't get that though. Let's look at that. Wait, yeah. Okay. Oh, this is the scenery. I guess it's seeing the scene. This is the scenery that was there during those times, I guess. So there's something on the mountain lasting, persisting through like a lot of time. And it's like wow, these huge forces of like creation and being. And as he takes off his shirt, I don't know. He bares his breast toward opening clouds. What is he? Why? Why? Um, okay. This makes more sense. It's like this Tang Xiong is like his heart in his chest is like shake is like shaken. His, it's not like stripping. I feel it makes more sense where he's like, yeah, like it's just he has this feeling in his chest of like awe, I guess, awe and wonder. Okay. 双层雨. So what's with the clouds then? I guess his is the clouds that cause him to have this feeling, maybe. Okay, and then he's looking to the birds as well. Okay, so first is the mountain, right? I mean, he's talking about the greenness, so it's probably the mountain. And then he's talking about these like forces, and then he's talking about the cloud. So he's looking at the sky at this point. And I guess because in the end he says, "When shall I reach the top?" So maybe he's climbing it, but anyway, looking at the sky is like I suppose he's trying to go higher, right? Huh. So he does want to climb the mountain. Hmm. Hmm. Interesting, interesting. Oh, oh wow, that's a different reading indeed. Okay, so well, at first we're talking about the yin and the yang here, but actually I mean you guys know like yin and yang, the whole like these cosmological forces, right? But actually the etymology of it, like the words actually come from like the yin, which is like the dark one, is like it's like there's a mountain, right? And then the sun is shining one way. So this part that is like not being shined on, this is the yin, is like the overcast, the shadowy side, and then the part facing the sun that's bright, that's the yang. So this reading is saying that it's not about the yin and yang forces, but it's about just the different sides of the mountain. Really? I'm not sure if I buy that though. Because the previous line, there's this stuff about like 造化, right? Which is like nature, and then is nature gathers like this apparently 中 is gather, and 神秀 is like it's like the chi, I guess. It's like the numinous chi, the there's some sort of mysterious substance, right? So I think it is, or the previous line is already kind of cosmological. So I'm not sure if this yin yang here is talking about the mountain on its own. I mean, it could be alluding to the fact that yin and yang was about mountains at the start, but I feel like he is talking about the forces here. So I kind of disagree with the interpretation of this one. Maybe. Let's see again. So there, yin yang, 分晓. Oh, okay. So the literal reading, they're saying like the yin and yang, so the two sides of the mountain, one facing the sun and one facing away, like the division between them is like twilight, is like the dusk and dawn. So the part that's not facing the part that's dark is like dusk, and the part that's facing the sun is like dawn. So it's, I mean, dusk and dawn, they look the same, right? But night and day, I guess, night and day. Uh yeah, so I guess that is also possible. But I wouldn't fully discount the cosmological reading here. Yeah. But I mean, in any case, it's larger than life, right? So it transcends like time. It comes from like, the most ancient time. And it's talking about, creation, and it sort of straddles like night and day. I mean, everyone everyone straddles night and day because if you live past the day, but you get what I mean. It's like holding day and night in a single moment, I guess. So this is not just like mountain. It's like something more. Like he's attributing a lot of like uh yeah, just something that's supernatural about it. Yeah. And he thinks when he is gonna reach the top, all other mountains will be small. I don't know. Now that I read it, it's almost like, is he saying once I've it's not just like all other mountains are small, but like any other obstacle in my life is small after I've seen this mountain. It's almost like this mountain is like it has transformed me and everything is surmountable after that. Everything is trivial. Wow, that would be insane. I like this reading though. I like the so wow, okay. Also just a note, they try to make it like this is supposed to explain it in simpler terms, but it's not. The last two lines are not simple. This is pretty bad explanation. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think so. I will read this 一览众山小 as not like just physical mountains, but metaphorical mountains have been diminished. It's like this other famous poem where it's like 更上一层楼, right? Like you go up one more uh level, you go up one floor. But that's like, I mean, it's talking about a tower, so it's like you can literally go up one floor, but it's more like you surpass yourself. So I think there is that sort of metaphorical meaning here where it's, you gotta, yeah, just when you come face to face with something so, I don't know, so sublime, then it really changes the way you see the rest of the world. Yeah. Or it changes the way you see life. And it's crazy, right? I mean, if this is the internal experience he's having, then in trying to replicate that in a poem, he's trying to give us that same experience, which I think I can kind of feel it like I don't know, yeah, it's almost like a mystical experience, like when they're like you feel the feeling of like you're one with something larger than yourself. I think that's the feeling he's trying to go for here. Yeah. I mean, it sounds dumb because he's talking about a mountain, but I think there is really something to it. Yeah. Like that's why people go climb mountains, right? Like it has to mean something. Okay, and Danica says the line about opening clouds and birds in the sky makes me think how he is a man looking for the opportunity to rise above despite the good or bad that happens in his life. Right. So I think the good and bad that happens, it might be the mountains, right, that he's talking about in the end. And all of them are small. Now they're all small because yeah, he has had this experience of like looking at them, I guess climbing the mountain and looking at the birds and the clouds. So yeah, I think that's a really good interpretation. And yeah, I guess you're talking about Opportunity, yeah. Maybe that's different. Let me think. Oh, you say, I love your insight. Oh, thanks. I wasn't expecting this to be a very deep poem, but I don't know. Yeah, I just feel I have this 胸荡, this 荡胸, the feeling in my chest. Yeah. And you love clouds and birds. Yeah, me too. Interesting. Maybe, okay, why don't I look at other comments in case I'm missing something? And yeah, I don't want to rush, but just might have to move on because I have a thing later as well. So let's see. So the first line is just really superb, I guess. The first line is like, seeing it, what can I say? Wow, so the mountain is beyond words even. Oh wow, that's crazy. This is another form of transcendence, right? Wow. This guy doesn't like the ending, I believe. Huh, okay. And you can tell this is a famous poem because there's all these comments on it. Huh. The first line of how he's unable to say it, that's why he doesn't talk about. He doesn't use any of these words, right? He doesn't talk about seeing and he doesn't talk about the mountain itself. I mean, there is a mountain at the end, but these are like mountains in comparison to this one. That's pretty interesting. And it aligns well with him not being able to say it. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, actually nothing super useful here. I took my time reading through all of them, or skimming them, but nothing super helpful. So I think I might just move on to the, whoa. Okay, this is long. Well, I don't know how. Well, I hope we can get through it in time because last week we went through it pretty fast. Yeah, but this week, I mean, they are longer poems, so I guess it makes sense that it takes longer. If I can't get through all 10, then we might have to, I don't know, make do with a bit less, but that's fine. I mean, okay, this is the 6th poem of the day. Let's try. Let's give it a try. All right, this 正位八处士. So to my 位八处士, is it? Well, whatever. Both of them work. So to my retired friend 魏，人生不相见，动如参日商。今夕复何夕？共此灯烛光。少壮能几时？鬓发各已苍。访旧半为鬼，惊呼热衷肠。焉知20载，重上君子堂。惜别君别未婚， 儿女突成行，毅然进复职。问我来何方？问答乃未已。吃儿罗九浆。夜雨兼春悱，春酒新吹兼黄凉。主称会面难，一指累时伤亦不醉。感子故意长，明日隔山岳，世事两茫茫。It is almost as hard for friends to meet as for the morning and evening stars. Tonight, then, is a rare event, joining in the candlelight two men who were young not long ago, but now are turning gray at the temples to find that half our friends are dead. Shocks us, burns our heart with grief. We little guessed it would be 20 years before I could visit you again. When I went away, you were still unmarried, but now these boys and girls in a row are very kind to their father's old friend. They ask me where I have been on my journey, and then, when we have talked a while, they bring and show me wines and dishes, spring chives cut in the night rain, and brown rice cooked freshly a special way. My host proclaims it's a festival. He urges me to drink 10 cups. But what 10 cups could make me as drunk as I always am with your love in my heart? Tomorrow the mountains will separate us. After tomorrow, who can say? Wow. Oh, these are really good. Wow. I don't think these are 今夕复何夕. I don't think that's right though. Is it the morning and evening star? Huh. Ah, 身伤. Okay. Okay. So the 身伤 are the morning and evening star. But actually, the morning and evening star, they're the same star. I mean, according to physics, but I imagine they didn't know this. All right. Okay. Huh. It's just, well, I mean, it's clear what it's about, right? It's like an old friend who never, yeah, who just suddenly 20 years has passed, half their friends are dead, and he already had kids, or he was single, but now his friend has kids. And yeah, wow. Wow, that's pretty crazy though. I mean, I'm like 26, so I can't imagine seeing a friend for 20 years, like seeing a friend after 20 years, and so much has changed. Wow. Yeah, I like the line, but what 10 cups could make me as drunk as I always am with your love in my heart? Wow. Hmm. Wow, that's great. Tomorrow the mountains will separate us. After tomorrow, who can say? Wow. I know. Wow. Okay. Let me just look at the other translation here. But I think the meaning is pretty similar. Okay, so great friends in this world is so hard for us to meet, like the two stars in the sky that never meet. So the morning and evening star. So what a lucky day it is today to be able to have the chance to talk about old times with you under the candlelight. How many days do we have when we are young and strong without knowing we have both gone gray? Yeah, sounds like I've heard that great portion of our friends have already passed away. And so hearing your voice, uh, strong emotions rise within me. I didn't think that we have already parted for 20 years. and now I'm able to see you again in your home. Back in the day, you weren't even married, but now you have many children, and they're very well mannered, and they respect their father and his friend, and they ask me, or they respect the friend of their father, and they ask me passionately where I'm from. And before we've even finished these simple greetings, you have already instructed them to set up the feast. They worked over the night and risking the rain to cut delicious 韭菜, chives, I guess. And the rice has two blends, or it includes like yellow rice. Okay. You say it is hard for us to meet again. And so once we raise our cups, we drank 10 cups in a row. Drinking 10 cups is hard for me to get drunk. And I feel the deep affection between us. I feel the deep affection from you, my old friend. Tomorrow, we will be separated by mountains again, and it will be hard for us to have another chance to reminisce and to drink together. Okay, clearly this guy's translation is much better. But yeah, but that's a literal translation. Yeah. I think it captures the meaning very well, the English. So yeah. I don't think there's much to say, but it's just a good poem. It's just such a good poem. Wow. I mean, it captures the scene very well, right? I wonder, I mean, I wonder if the poet is still single here, because he really likes the children, the family of the friend. I wonder if the poet is single, maybe he's a bit jealous as well. But in that, well, I don't know if he's single, but anyway, he is very. I mean, it's very nice lah. Like he's very happy that his friend has such a nice family, right? Yeah, I guess it's a bit hard for me to relate since I'm still young, but yeah, I think it'll be really sweet to see, yeah, like an old friend having like a nice family life. Yeah. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Danica says nature separates them, but a man-made invention unites them. Do you think so? I wonder, is it the drinking? Because I think they're just meeting in person now. Yeah. Wait, this is for this poem, right? Not the other poem. Yeah, this poem, yeah. I guess the drink, yeah. I think in terms of why they are separated is because of like they just had different postings because they're both official, so they were sent to like different places. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Let me just see if the famous critics have pointed out anything I may have missed. It seems like a pretty straightforward poem. Oh, I guess about the chives. I guess it's saying the chives thing is a sign that he's not very rich. and you have to brave the rain to go cut it. But I mean, even then, it's still kind of nice that they have a nice family. Yeah. Yeah, I guess the chives thing is like, and then like the rice, chives and rice is hardly super fancy, right? But it's not about the food. Yeah. That's a good point though. I didn't really notice the food choice. But I think it's saying something about the wealth of the friend. Yeah. Hmm. Oh, I feel because of the time I want to move on. Oh, she says the candlelight unites them. Joining in the candlelight, right? Even though it's separated by the mountains. Oh, that's a good contrast though. Yeah, you're right. And like, because the separation is so huge, right? The mountain is so huge and it's like physical. And then the thing that joins them is the candlelight is like, it's really small and it's not really substantial, right? It's not tangible almost. I guess it's something about yeah, this really small bond. I mean, but it still lasts, right? Yeah, wow, that's a good contrast. Hmm. That's interesting. Hmm. I think this Mang also, like once you're separated and then like this 世事 the affairs of the world are, I guess, bleak. I'm not sure what's a good translation for Mang, but uh not this one. But the Mang there, that might seem to contrast with the light of the the candle. Okay, I guess Mang is like, it's just vague. Let's search up what it means. Uh, okay, it's just vast, boundless, widespread. Okay. I mean, just I want to contrast the vagueness or the blurriness of a, like in my head it's kind of like a grayish blurriness, but I feel like that's not really, so maybe that could contrast with the light of the candle. So that's also one possibility. Yeah. Yeah. Is there any more mentions of light in this? Interesting. Okay. Uh, but yeah, I wonder. Maybe, yeah, maybe let's just move on. It's a good poem, but I think if I keep talking about this, I won't have time to look at more good poems. So, okay. 杜甫 again. So 家人 alone in her beauty. 嗯，绝代有佳人，幽居在空谷。自云良家子，零落依草木。关中西丧乱，兄弟遭杀戮。官高何足论，不得收骨肉。世情恶，哀歇。万事随转逐。夫婿轻薄儿，新日美如日。 合婚上之时，鸳鸯不独宿。但见新人笑，那闻旧人哭。在山泉水清，出山泉水浊。待碧卖珠回，牵罗补茅屋。摘花布插发，彩帛动银。哦，something。天寒翠，我是绣帛，日暮衣修竹。It's a pretty long poem. Who is lovelier than she? Yet she lives alone in an empty valley. She tells me she came from a good family, which is humbled now into the dust. When trouble arose in the Quan district, her brothers and close kin were killed. What use were the high offices, not even shielding their own lives? The world has but scorn for adversity. Hope goes out like the light of a candle. Her husband, with a vagrant heart, seeks a new face like a new piece of jade. When morning glories furl at night, and mandarin ducks lie side by side, all he can see is the smile of the new love, while the old love weeps unheard. The brook was pure in its mountain source, but away from the mountain its waters darken, waiting for a maid to come from selling pearls for straw to cover the roof again. She picks a few flowers, no longer for her hair, and lets pine needles fall through her fingers. And forgetting her thin silk sleeves and the cold, she leans in the sunset by a tall bamboo. Wow, I was not expecting this from the title. Wow. Damn. Wow, why is her family killed? I wonder if it's in the rebellion or if they offended the emperor. That's so messed up though, the husband, like, I mean, why is he taking another wife when like they don't even have money to repair their roof? Like you have to pawn her pearls, right? And that's pretty messed up. Oh wow. This just makes me feel sad. Okay. Uh maybe one question first is, yeah, why did the brothers die? Hmm. Yeah, it's in the rebellion. I say this every week, but the Anlu Shan rebellion, which sort of it was just this huge turning point in the dynasty, yeah, the Tang dynasty. So I guess they were sort of killed in the chaos. And yeah, I mean so she no longer has her social support, right? She no longer has her own family to support her, and now wow, and she's like so just neglected by her husband. Wow. And yeah, the Mandarin ducks, this is like the yuan yang, right? So these are like symbols of like romantic love, I guess. So there's like yuan and the yang. One is like a male, one's the female. And it's supposed to be like as a symbol for just yeah. They are waterfowl, water birds. There's the pair of male and female, and day and night they are inseparable. So yeah. Yeah, oh, so sad. I don't know. So sad. Yeah. Yeah. Guess then another question I have is what's with the pine needles and pine needles roll through her fingers? Or is she picking flowers to sell? That's why it's not for her hair. And what's with the pine needles? And she leans in the sunset by a tall bamboo. I guess she's outside working. Is that the implication? Right, so she's picking up. Oh, this is different. This is different. So what this reading is that they're selling the pearls to cover the roof with straw. And this other reading is that the pearl maid is selling the pearls, and then separately she's picking the pine needles in order to be the straw to cover the roof. Okay. So I feel like that reading makes more sense. If not, I'm not sure what the pine needles are doing. Yeah. And because she's out picking the pine needles, that's why she's outside. Yeah. Wow. So sad. It's just it's a very good description of the her situation, I guess. Yeah. The husband's terrible. Wow. Yeah, wow, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. Yes, it's such a very moving poem. Yeah. And if you look at the very first line, right? Um, it's not, it really is like he establishes her as like in English, like who is lovelier than she, right? Which is fine. This is the meaning, but here it's like this is like the most beautiful person in like all of history. That's sort of what he's trying to say in this first line. Which is how did they translate it? Yeah, Dread is like there's no one. Oh, okay, maybe not all of history, but it's like in this generation, I guess. In this there's no one alive, I guess. No one alive who is more beautiful than her. Yeah. So uh I mean, it's not like something is more tragic because she's pretty, right? It's not like, oh, if she's ugly, then this is okay. Like, obviously not, but I mean, yeah. I guess it is to emphasize sort of the fall. I mean, not a fall, kind of, right? Like, she was from a pretty good family, who had like pretty high official jobs. Yeah. So like a nice family background, and now just sort of neglected and like, you know, selling your precious possessions. You have to go up like picking straw to fix the roof, which the husband's not even doing. Kind of rude. I don't know. Yeah. So one comment is maybe he sees her as rude when she says she has a good family. That is a interesting point because I wonder why she says she's from a good family and it has to be from her. Maybe there is this sense of arrogance or pride in there. And maybe that makes it even worse. I don't know. I feel like it is trying to make her a sympathetic character, but maybe so either it's like she herself knows, like she's even more sympathetic because she herself knows so what she deserves, and I mean not just because she's pretty or what lah. It's like I mean nobody deserves to be treated like this, right? But she knows what she deserves, and like I come from a good family, and like my had like very accomplished relatives, and presumably she's also pretty smart and capable. But then now she's treated like shit lah. So that's one way, but maybe the other way to read it is like she's a bit too proud for her own good. But I do think it is pretty sad no matter, it's not like if her family is killed from the rebellion, it's not like retribution for her pride, right? So I do think she is sympathetic, even if there's this sense of her being. Well, I agree that she's proud, but I'm not sure how to understand it. I see it more as a bit well-deserved. It's like self-esteem rather than pride. And regardless, actually, here's another thing I saw, which is like, I mean, look at these two lines. They're almost exactly parallel, right? It's like in the mountain, the spring water is clear. Outside the mountain, the spring water is unclear. So even though here the brook was clear in its mountain source, but away from the mountain, its water is darkened. But here is, you see, is a really direct parallel. Like they look almost the same. So that really jumps out at me. I wonder if this is it follows up from before, where it's like when he sees the new wife, he smiles, but he doesn't hear the cries of the first wife, right? Wow, this is really so much to unpack. I feel like wish I didn't have to go so fast. Where is with that? I think it's like, okay, so when it's in the, because the water originates from the mountain, right? Right, so it's pure in the mountain source. So I feel like is a metaphor for her, but then over time, sort of, she gets mistreated, and that's why the waters are darkened. So that is a metaphor. So she is the water that is being like murked up, messed up, right? Wow. I wish I had more time to do this. This is so good. So he makes her work to make her forget about her past status and come to terms that she is now poorer. Yeah. Like she does have to work since she's poorer. I do think so. And yeah. I don't know. I don't feel like she deserves to be treated like this though. I mean, even if she's poor and she has to work, I mean, at least don't, at least like talk to her when she's crying, right? I don't think that's unreasonable. Yeah, so yeah, I still think she's meant to be a sympathetic character, even if there is this sense of like she needs to get rid of her ego. But things have changed, right? Like I think it is fair, like, rebellion, the world is completely different. Like you need to change. But at the same time, the husband, I think, is going too far. Yeah. Okay, maybe let's move on to the famous critics here. They picked up the line I picked up as well. But let's go from the start, see if there's anything here. So they don't think a critic thinks, I don't think that this is a real person. So it's more like just depicting the state of the world at that time. Yeah. I also don't think this is a real person. Somehow, like it's sort of too abstract. Like if it's a real person, usually like you put like very concrete details, right, to sort of pin it down. But this feels more like a sort of like it's like a parable, it's like a story to tell you the situation, but it's not like that person. Yeah. And then okay, this person thinks, okay, it's to buy the pearls to repair the house. So it is to repair the roof, he thinks. Then I wonder, yeah, I guess either way, the pearls are being sold, the house needs to be repaired. So don't need to argue too much on that. Also point out that the writing is pretty simple, which I agree. Like there's nothing, it's not using like very, most of the words are pretty straightforward. So yeah, that's a good point. I wonder if there's a certain stylistic choice here. I think it's so simple that like it sort of just it just hits you harder. Like it's just giving you the fact, like not trying to hide it or cover it, or yeah, like it's not shielded by very obscure vocabulary. It's just like it's just telling you what's going on. So I think the craft here is really in depicting the situation. Yeah. Right. This one, yeah, this is a very wow, so many good points here. Like the title of like 家人, which is like a beautiful woman, I guess. It's like usually you'll be like, if it's this sort of title, you'll be praising the person and like cherishing them. And then he says, but in this poem, is she being cherished at all? So I think, wow, that's a really good point. Like, yeah. I think as I really wasn't expecting it to turn out the way it did when I started reading the poem. And so I think it's really maybe this is like it's just like how she didn't expect things to turn out like this, right? Yeah. So wow, so good. Such a good poem. Wow. These are the two lines I pointed out about the water and the mountain source. Well, I don't really know what it's saying here. And I know there are other things. So here. So the purity is talking about the thing that the clearness of the water is about the purity of heart. But this implies she's no longer pure, which I find not to be true. I don't think she's like been corrupted. It's more like she's been mistreated, right? Or maybe it implies that, or it's like if you watch the movie Parasite, where they're like, it's easy to be kind when you're rich and comfortable, but when you're struggling just to survive, then it's not so easy, right? So maybe this is the idea where even if she starts as like a very pure person, by being mistreated in this way, it's inevitable that she just becomes bitter and like a mean person now. Yeah, which I think is also really sad. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think I have to move on, but wow. Hmm. And maybe it's about a fallen city or a state. I don't think so, though. Yeah, I think this is really just about a person. I can see what you mean, but I think it's a bit too specific. Like if it's yeah, and at least historically, I don't see what else it could be referring to because there isn't really that much of a fallen. Yeah, I just can't really see how it could apply to what it would refer to if it was a city, yeah. But it's a possible, yeah, good to raise that up. It was but it could have been a very extended metaphor, right? I think in this case, probably not though. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I really want to try to get through the last three. Yeah, I hate to rush it, but the poems are so good. Okay, these two we're gonna read it as a pair, okay? Because they're still part of the series. So yeah, this is when actually Li Bai. So this is the poem, the famous poet we read. We read one or two of his today. So he died apparently. Right? I think he passed away, and so his friend is sort of dreaming of him. Oh no, he's not dead. He's not dead. He's only been like so Li Bai was sent into exile, but he was later pardoned. But Du Fu didn't know, so he only knows that he was being exiled. Yeah. Okay, so that's the context. Okay, so this is Du Fu. So they're both very famous poets, right? Like the top two poets in Chinese history. So Du Fu, he's sort of thinking about his friend, worried that he's been exiled. And so 梦李白之一 seeing Li Bai in a dream. 死别已吞声，生别长，恻恻，江南瘴立地，逐客，sorry，逐客无消息，故人入我梦，明我长相忆。君今在罗网，何以有羽翼？恐非平生魂，路远不可测。魂来风铃轻，this is 魂返关塞黑。落日满屋梁，犹疑照颜色。水深波浪阔，无始蛟龙得。There are sobs when death is the cause of parting, but life has its partings again and again. From the poisonous damps of the southern river, you had sent me not one sign from your exile, till you came to me last night in a dream. Because I am always thinking of you, I wondered if it were really you. Venturing so long a journey, you came to me through the green of a forest, you disappeared by a shadowy fortress. Yet, out of the midmost mesh of your snare, how could you lift your wings and use them? I woke, and the low moon's glimmer on a rafter seemed to be your face, still floating in the air. There were waters to cross, they were wild and tossing. If you fell, there were dragons and river monsters. Wow. Okay, let's read the second one together. But wow. This wow. You can really see their friendship, right? I don't know. Okay, let's read the second one and we'll analyze them together. I know it's really long. Both of them are really long, but let's see. So second poem. 浮云终日行，游子久不至。三夜凭梦君，情亲见君意。告归常居处，苦道来不易。江湖多风波，舟楫恐失坠。出门搔白首，若负平生志。冠盖满京华，斯人独憔悴。孰云枉恢恢， 将老身返泪，千秋万岁名，寂寞身后事。This cloud that has drifted all day through the sky may, like a wanderer, never come back. 3 nights now I have dreamed of you, as tender, intimate, and real as though I were awake. And then, abruptly rising to go, you told me the perils of adventure, by river and lake, the storms, the wrecks, the fears that are born on a little boat. And here, in my doorway, you rubbed your white head as if there was something puzzling you. Our capital teems with officious people, while you are alone and helpless and poor. Who says that the heavenly net never fails? It has brought you ill fortune, old as you are. 1,000 years fame, 10,000 years fame. What good when you are dead and gone? Wow, wow. Wow, wow. It's very prescient, right? Because they are both super famous and, even now, past 1,000 years. But I guess I didn't know. One thing that struck me was I didn't know he was that young. He was that old. Like he had his white head. So he must be exiled at a pretty old age, right? Like that's rough. Like, I mean, it's rough when you're young, but even worse when you're like, just sent to like a place far away when you're old. That's not easy. Like for anyone, right? Let alone like the elderly. So, okay. And then there's also, it keeps recurring this image of the net, which is like called 天网龟龟, right? 天网, where is it? It's a very famous idiom. Yeah, 天网恢恢，疏而不漏. There it is. Why don't we go to this? I like the Wiktionary. Oh, this is from the 道德经. I didn't know that. So, yeah, 天网恢恢，疏而不漏. So this is a idiom. Yeah, the law of nature is like a giant web. Although sparsely meshed, nothing could slip through. So the idea is that it's kind of like karma, lah. Like karma is gonna bite you in the end. Like good people will be rewarded, even if it takes time, and bad people will be punished, even if it takes time. So that's sort of the idea here. And then it is specifically called out to in it's 罗网, right? This is net. Yeah, the midmost mesh of your snare. So there's sort of the sense of the net there. And then in the second poem, he even goes more, he even says like 网恢恢. So this is literally a quotation, right? So who says that the heavenly net never fails? So I think, so here he's really lamenting like the injustice of someone like Li Bai being sort of exiled, and it's not just, it's really to like a rough place, I imagine. Like I know he was eventually pardoned, but I think the place he was supposed to be sent to was pretty rough. Because yeah, apparently it was a crime where he was like just falsely implicated in it. Yeah. So that's sort of the first things that struck me. I think let's go through line by line for both. Okay, so there is sobs when death is the cause of parting, but life has its partings again and again from the poisonous dams of the southern river. So that's where he's being exiled to. You had sent me not one sign from your exile. So he was so worried about his friend. He's like, oh, I wish like just any sign, maybe like a letter, right? And then, but now there's a supernatural sign, like till you came to me last night in a dream, because I'm always thinking of you. So yeah, like he can't get a sign in real life, so he has a sign like in his dream. And hey, oh, this one should be a different place. But anyway, I wonder if it were really you. So the at least these two lines should be directly you get out of the midmost mesh of your snare. How could you lift your wings to and use them? So this should be up a bit. Yeah, so I think the snare could be the place he's in now, the place he's being exiled to, but also the plots, right? Because he was falsely implicated in some crime. So that is the snare, and then he is like the bird sort of caught in it. And so here the heavenly net metaphor is sort of like turned around, right? I mean, I guess this is the first poem, so there's like he is the net, he is in a net. But in the second poem, then there'll be like, oh, but then the heavenly net is not working. So things are not as they should be. So interesting repetition of this net image here. And then 孔非平生魂，路人不可测. Okay, there's this, it keeps repeating this 魂 thing, the soul. I guess he thinks the appearance in the dream is like the soul sort of coming over, I guess. So I wonder if it were really you, ventured so long a journey. You came to me through the green of a forest. You disappeared by a shadowy fortress. So all the times when it says you here, it actually is using the soul character here, which is not very common. I mean, it's not common to say like soul to mean you, right? So it's really like, your soul, but he does think that the soul is coming all the way from Jiangnan to him through like I guess a kind of a perilous journey. And then 落月满无聊. So I woke and the low moon's a glimmer on a rafter seemed to be your face, still floating in the air. There were waters to cross, they were wild and tossing. If you fell, there were dragons and river monsters. Yeah, so he sort of he wakes up now and he's like, he still kind of sees his face because he thinks of his friend so much. I'm not sure. And then this last one, maybe it's like the soul has to return. I don't think so. I mean, it's possible, but either way, he's just talking about dangers. Dangers facing him, maybe in the court or in journey. Yeah, I think. I mean, through this, you can really see that he feels like the exile was really unjust and the exile was unjust, and he's really worried. It feels like his friend is trapped in a net or in this perilous journey, and just there's the dangerous waters as well. Yeah, like you can really see how much he cares for his friend. I feel. Yeah. It's sad, man. It's sad to face this kind of thing. And then for this next one, let's go on for the second one, which is kind of a similar theme. So I mean, it's not I mean, it's the same theme, right? It's part of a group of two poems. But yeah, let's look at this. So 无人终日行. I'm a bit tired. I didn't expect to be talking for so long, but let's get through this. So this cloud that has wandered all day through the sky may like a wanderer never come back. Wow. Such a good image. I mean, this is talking about his friend, right? Clearly, Li Bai. It's, he might never come back. He might never return out of exile. And 3 nights now, I have dreamed of you, as tender, intimate, and real as though I were awake. I guess the first poem was the first night, and now it's been happening like 3 nights in a row. Really shows you how much he cares. Yeah. and then abruptly rising to go, you told me the perils of adventure. I wouldn't say, I think adventure is kind of a positive word, but here it's just saying like it's a very difficult path. Yeah. And it was not easy for him to come. By river, river and lake, the storms, the wrecks, the fears that are born on a little boat. And here in my doorway, you rub your white head as if there were something puzzling you. This is the slightly different. I think puzzling you is kind of an understatement. So yeah, outside scratching his head, as though something has sort of gone against the will of his entire life. So there's something has gone against. So it's not just puzzled, right? It's like as though like maybe he is puzzled, but it's like something huge has been gone against. Let's see what the translation says. It's like he has wasted the great ambition of his life, the great ambition that has been there his entire life. Yeah, so it's not just a puzzle, I would say. Yeah, so next, when you are alone and poor and no, our capital teams with officious people while you are alone and helpless and poor. Who says that the heavenly net never fails? It has brought you ill fortune, old as you are, 1,000 years fame, 10,000 years fame. What good when you are dead and gone? It seems like the sort of the lifelong ambition that it's talking about here is to have fame that lasts forever. And I mean, he has succeeded. He is really famous. But I guess Tu Fu here is saying that at what cost? Well, yeah, at what cost? And maybe perhaps he's implying that people are jealous of his talent. People in the capital are jealous of his talent, which is why he is implicated. And that is why, and this is the injustice that where the heavenly net has failed. I think it's interesting that it started from sort of just worrying about his friend and his safety, and now it's something more, right? It's not just like the immediate danger, but it's like the meaning of his life seems to have been, it's not just about his life, but what he has been living his life for. That is what is at stake here. It's not just that he will die, but like, because everyone dies, right? But why was he even alive? That seems to be in question now. Like everything he has been working for, like, is it worth it? Is the fame worth it? Yeah. Wow. Wow. I don't know. But I mean, he did. But the good news is he was pardoned. So I guess he did do well in the end. But I mean, if you look at it from this perspective, like before Tu Fu knew that Li Bai was pardoned, it does seem like, yeah, wow. It is really a very tragic situation, right? And I mean, he's also a poet. Tu Fu is also a poet, so I feel like he is also questioning himself, his own ambitions and goals so far. Yeah. Hmm. Let's look at the famous critics, and most of them are just saying it's really good. which it is, obviously. I guess there is one. Is this interesting that the very first character that comes out is death, which is why at first I also thought that Li Bai was dead. So I think I think that's a good way to see it. Like, that is sort of what he's fearing, right? But first he is fearing that his friend has died. And then we see that in the end there's a transition to fear that his friend has lived for nothing. Yeah. Right, looks like there wasn't much to say. So the second poem. I don't find anything interesting here. Yeah. So but okay. The second one seems to be a harsh critic about the choice of their friend going to battle. That's a comment. I don't think he's going to battle for this one because what happened is that they was in court, and I think let's see what's the context for this. And thanks for sharing your thoughts, by the way. It's nice to it's nice to see that other people are sort of trying to form their own interpretations as well. So yeah, I don't think so it's some court politics, but so he was not actually in battle. Yeah. It's just he got falsely implicated in some crime. And Li Bai is pretty old as well. Remember, he's scratching his white hair. So quite unlikely that he is out in the field. Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna go through this one more time, see if there's anything else. Okay, I think I'm gonna just go to the last poem of the day. Sorry, I'm pretty tired, so yeah, I'm kind of hoping to finish this and we can go for, well, I can go for my lunch. Okay, so this one by Wang Wei. Oh wow, so many great poets. Insane. Yeah, well, I've read so many good poets today. Should have allocated more time. So this is 送别 at parting. 下马饮君酒，问君何所之？君言不得意，归卧南山垂。但去莫复闻，白云无尽时。So I think this is actually going to war, going to battle. But and the last three, 又作问 is I think it's saying there's another character that could be substituted for 问. But there's already a 问 here. I think this 问 could be 问. So this 问 to hear could also be to ask. All right, so let's see the English. Let's take a look at the English. I dismount from my horse and I offer you wine, and I ask you where you are going and why. And you answer, I am discontent and would rest at the foot of the southern mountain. So give me leave and ask me no questions. White clouds pass there without end. I mean, these are friends, right? What's going on? So he dismounts, offers his friend wine, and asks him where he's going. Okay, where and why? Okay. And then you say, I'm discontent. I'm rest at the foot at the southern mountain. So give me leave and ask me no questions. White clouds pass there without end. I think I need the context for this. What's up with his friend, man? Hmm. Okay. So it looks like his friend is going to be a hermit in the mountains. Okay. Hmm. And the interpretation is that actually the poet himself is not very content with reality as well. And they so keep talking about the second two lines. So I mean the last two lines. So if we look at it again, so give me leave and ask me no questions. White clouds pass there without end. White clouds pass there without end. Why? Why? Oh, I really don't understand this. Hmm. Yeah, sorry, I'm sort of like deep in thought, like what is going on? Okay, but okay, so it does point out that it doesn't when he asks why do you leave, and he just says I am discontent. So he doesn't really go into the details, right? But yeah. I mean, and I'm the commentary says, yeah, it's probably in his career, which is but also that is deliberately ambiguous, which considering the form, because you've seen the other poems, they're really long. So it's not like it had a character limit. Like he could have given more space to explaining why, but it's sort of a choice not to say it. So it's interesting that it's been left out. Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. So there's actually a different in this translation. They don't split up the dialogue in this way. So right now it's like in the English it says the last four lines are sort of the answer of the friend, right? But in the Chinese translation or in this interpretation, it's like uh, it's all from the perspective of the poet. So he's like, okay, I dismount and I ask you where you're going, and then you said you are discontent and that you want to uh rest at the foot of the southern mountain. And so go, I won't ask any more questions. White clouds pass there without end. So the key difference is this part, I guess. It's like, so he's saying, you can go, I won't ask anymore. So that's the difference in interpretation. I'm not sure how that might. I think that actually changes the poem a lot, depending on who is speaking. I don't know. I don't know. I'm still very perplexed by why the white clouds are there. The white clouds pass by without end. Hmm. Okay, this commentary says that it's because the trying to gain wealth or prestige. It is limited, I guess. It's impermanent. Whereas the white clouds, the passing of the white clouds is truly endless. So I guess the transformations of nature is endless. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. As in, I'm very tempted to like a Buddhist or a Taoist read because Wang Wei is famous for being Buddhist. The author is famous for being Buddhist, and this whole like retreating in the mountains is very Taoist, right? So I can see why this reading would make sense. Yeah, it's just I guess it's hard because all the other poems so far were very like explicit. So here now we're sort of switching back into this other mode where you have to draw it out. There's a lot left unsaid. Yeah. I think it does make sense that the clouds are being endless is in contrast to his previous life where there is some sort of limitation, I suppose. That makes sense. It was just what does the white cloud being endless mean? Sounds very deep, but also hmm, hmm. Well, let's look at some famous critics if they say. Okay, so they say this is kind of Buddhist, which is fair. Yeah. Okay, so here's one. The white clouds are endless and they are happy by themselves. And so you don't have to talk about being discontent. Huh. Okay, that helps, but also doesn't help. I don't know. Hmm. Well, I guess this my speculation on what the white clouds mean will never end. I don't think I can get to the bottom of this today. Huh. And yeah, thanks for. Oh, okay. Danica says white clouds can mean no rain or storms. He's all going there to have an easy life because he is already done with hardships. Okay, so you're saying it has nice weather, and so that's actually maybe that's right. Maybe that's right. Maybe this is just a metaphor for saying you're gonna have a good life there. Hmm. Yeah, maybe that's right. Because I can't really I don't know, they want to read a very deep meaning into this in the commentary, but okay, at least I like this meaning or like the more literal meaning, which is just it's just a nicer place there. Yeah. I think yeah, I really can't see what a deeper meaning might be. So you know what, I think I'll just call it a day. It's been pretty long, so I'm sure most of you are tired as well. Okay, maybe one last comment. You said endless can be eternity or something stable too. Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. Maybe it's saying that maybe it's something about being content, you know, like if you have all these career aspirations, right? And then because you want so many things, it's very hard to like these are all dependent. These will come and they will go. But if all you want are like it's like nice weather or like these white clouds, right? Then these will never end because there will always be white clouds sooner or later. Whereas like if you want glory or wealth, these can come and go very quickly. So maybe there is that sense of yeah, there is a if you lower your expectations, you will be content because if you learn to be content with the nice weather. Oh wow. Okay. That makes sense to me. Like, yeah. And you know the clouds are always moving. So maybe there's a sense of like being so this is a more Taoist read where it's like, you have to enjoy the constant transformations of the world, take pleasure in that, and also and if because the only constant is change, right? So there is a stability in the instability. So if because clouds are always changing, I guess. So if you are happy with these clouds that are always changing and you see what is stable in that, then that is where you can find you will always be happy, yeah. You will always be content. So I'm really reading in the Taoist interpretation here, but I think it is plausible. It is plausible. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I feel like I'm pretty satisfied with that. Yeah, I think that comment really helped me. Yeah, actually, your comments really helped me solve this because it makes it is something about being content, right? As opposed to being discontent in like because he's leaving because he's discontent. So there must be some sort of contentment that he's seeking and hopefully finding. Yeah. Yeah, but I guess next time your friend isn't happy, you just here's a line you can use on them. Yeah. White clouds pass without end. It is really very, very Taoist or Buddhist. Okay, I think speaking of ends, I will call it a day. And yeah, thanks for everyone who stuck around. I know these were really good poems, right? Like I had like some of the great poets here today. Let me just see what we're reading. Oh, okay, more Wang Wei next week. So that's great. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this genre, the 5 character ancient verse. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I expected. So really excited. Yeah, can't wait to see you all next week. Okay. All right. Thanks for this.